Welcome to the REI Hacker Podcast, where we unlock the secrets of real estate success. Join us as we dive into the journeys of top investors, mentors, and industry experts. And now, let's hand it off to our host, Benson Juarez.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here on this edition of the REI Hacker Podcast. So excited for my next guest, Robert G. Allen. He's a legendary personal finance author, real estate expert, and the man who popularized the concept of multiple streams of income. For over 40 years, Robert has helped millions of people build wealth through his best-selling books, including Nothing Down. His work has sold over 4 million copies worldwide, and his teachings continue to inspire entrepreneurs, investors, and aspiring authors to achieve financial freedom, starting from nothing. Bob, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, happy to be here. And I love when we met each other. I think it was in Florida. Isn't that where we first met each other?
I think it was. It was one of Tim's events.
His events, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so impressed with your software and you and all the things you're doing. So honored to be here on the show with you. Let's talk about what the listeners can do, or the viewers, on how they can turn their knowledge into a stream of income.
Yeah, I love it. What's been so cool is you've done so many things throughout your career, and you began your personal real estate journey with just $1,000 from your father, no job, no credit, no collateral, and then you pioneered, the Nothing Down concept, I guess, out of necessity.
Yeah.
But what's the biggest misconception that aspiring investors have when they think they need significant capital to get started? And what advice would you give them so that they can get past that hurdle and get started today?
When my first book came out, Nothing Down, when it came out, most people didn't believe you could do that, not really, because the entire narrative is controlled by the financial industry, real estate agents and brokers and bankers. And they don't want poor people who don't have any financial strength. They want the strongest people they can find, and that leaves 95% of us out in the cold. We don't qualify for the way they want to do it. Well, I was trying to say that you do qualify. And so I did this crazy challenge. When the book came out, nobody believed it. So I said, well, let's go prove it. I said, send me to any city, take away my wallet, give me a $100 bill. In 72 hours, I'll buy an excellent piece of real estate using none of my own money. And I ran an ad in the Los Angeles Times to fill up my seminars. And the LA Times saw the ad and they said, we don't like this. We're going to send a reporter with him to a city we choose. And they sent me to San Francisco, and they took away my wallet. I have 72 hours. And I bought 7 properties in 57 hours and gave the reporter $20 back in change. Because I wanted to prove that wealth is not the things that the banker says it is. It's not cash, it's not cash flow, it's not collateral, it's not credit. Those 4 C's, that they all want, it's always internal. Real wealth always starts inside you. And all the wealth, all the material wealth outside you, always sourced from your inside, is sourced from your dreams and your passions and your drive, your determination, and the internal C's of commitment and creativity and confidence and chutzpah. And it all comes from inside you. And then you go out and get the small W wealth. The capital W wealth is inside you. So I always want to prove that you can take away all the things that the bankers think that makes you rich, and let me show you what really makes you rich. And therefore, I bought 7 properties, and that was kind of like a crazy story that got promoted all around the world. But I'm trying to say that to your audience today. It's all about finding the highly motivated seller.
Mm-hmm.
That means it's a narrow niche, and using your software, you can find highly motivated sellers. When I started in the 80s, we didn't have anything like you guys are doing. It was impossible. I had to literally phone call and knock on doors and all that crazy stuff. Now, literally, I can see any property in the United States using your unbelievable software wow, incredible. And if I find a highly motivated seller, I can make multiple offers on multiple properties. I can find one that's really good. I can find it. I can flip it. I can do everything long distance. Unbelievable. So that's where my career started.
Right. So obviously you didn't trade your C's for these properties. You didn't give them confidence and then they gave you a property. Like, how are you structuring these deals practically so that a seller is walking away from the table with something of value?
Well, when you're looking for what I call a don't wanter, that means they don't want their real estate. That means they've reached the decision that they don't want it. So anything you give them is better than having the property. They want out. And there's a narrow, there are not very many. Obviously, it's 1 to 5% depending upon the economy. And right now, things are slowing down a little bit. So there are more, this widening from 1% to 5%, where there's more deals out there from sellers who don't, maybe they inherited a property from their grandmother. They don't want it. And they go, I need to sell it. Well, what do you want to sell it for? Well, it's free and clear, right? Well, do you really want a bunch of cash and pay all kinds of taxes? Well, why don't you just let me make you monthly payments so you get a stream of income for the next 30 years? Your grandma just gave it to you. How about having a little pressure, a little extra $500 a month flowing into your life? Wouldn't that take the pressure off? And so you're negotiating in a way that solves your problem and gives them another opportunity too. See, if I pay cash for your property, I'm gonna knock $10,000 off of it, 20,000, 50,000. But if you do the payment situation, I'll pay you 10,000 more than what you ask. In other words, you give me my terms, I'll give you your price. And of course, you got to make sure the numbers work.
Right.
The point I say is, I'm looking for a seller. Now, 95% of the sellers, they won't do any of that kind of stuff because they've been ruined by the realtors. And the realtors have gone out and said, I can sell this property for you and we'll get all this cash and the price is high. And therefore, they've taken away the opportunity, or at least some of it. So I can deal with a person that's dealing with a real estate agent, but I want a highly motivated seller. So when I go to San Francisco, that's what I'm looking for. And I'm making 100 phone calls and I'm getting 99 no's. Well, I'm getting one guy who calls me back that night and he says, are you the person who wants to buy? I left a message on his phone. Are you the guy that wants to buy the property with nothing down? Yes, I am. I have a property I'd like to sell you with nothing down. Great. Come to my office tomorrow. I'll have the paperwork all drawn up. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. And I'm going, what just happened? Well, it's because he was the right person. And I had to cast a wide net to find that one. I show up at his office. He has the contract all drawn up, exactly what he wants, with a $1 down payment. And I find out he wasn't desperate. He had bought it low. He'd fixed it up high. He'd refinanced all his money out. He didn't have any more money to risk. Therefore, the equity above the loan was all pure profit to him. And if I gave him a monthly payment on his pure profit, he was fine with that. And so I said, well, I'll give you a second mortgage for everything, And he goes, no, you're going to give me a second mortgage for $21,000. You're going to give me a third mortgage for $6,000 and a fourth mortgage for $6,000. I'm going, what? What are you talking about? Second, third, fourth mortgage? He says, because I'm going to sell the second. You give me the second. 10% interest, all due and payable in 3 years, 10% monthly. I'm going to sell your note into the note market. And I'm going to sell it to a friend of mine for $15,000 in cash. And he's going to buy your note for $21,000. So he's going to make about 20% on his money, which is pretty darn good. And I get $15,000 in cash right now because you wrote me an offer for nothing down to you, but to me, I walk away with $15,000 because of a discounted mortgage. So that's one of the 50 nothing down techniques that I learned. I never knew that technique until I went to San Francisco and he taught it to me. So people usually think I'm going to take advantage of some poor person, that they're behind their payments and they're, no, there's all kinds of ways that people become flexible to sell in more non-conventional ways. And that's what creative financing is. It's the unconventional, creative way of buying real estate with little or no money down. So,
And with that
And
structure there, and not that deal especially, because he was involved in kind of creating the structure,
yeah,
like you can sleep at night because it's a win-win and you're
yeah,
not taking advantage of people. And that's one of the big misconceptions out there from people who aren't in the industry is that everyone's getting taken advantage of and
right,
you're
right.
stealing grandma's house, right? That she
Yeah,
raised her family in and you're taking her equity. And that's just not the case in most cases, right? There are unscrupulous
oh,
people in this industry, but if you
gotta
do
be
it
worth it.
right, you can
Yeah,
get a win-win situation.
yeah, absolutely. So that's what I've been teaching for the last 45 years. Just how do you find the right kind of stuff, finding it. How do you fund those deals using one of the techniques? And then what do you do with it? Do you keep it? Or how do you farm it? Do you sell the farm and get a quick chunk of cash? That's flipping. Or do you keep the farm, rent it out, raise crops, get monthly net cash flow for until the loan's paid off? Um, what is your plan? And finding, funding, farming. That's just everything I taught is boiled down to those three words.
So I've heard you've emphasized the importance of ethical mentorship and the power of of this residual and passive income.
Yeah.
But we're in a world that's all about quick wins and instant gratification. So how do you help people, cultivate that patience and wait for the money over this long-term period and actually have the vision to do that? And obviously, ethics is a big part of it, but how do you teach that?
Well, the way I teach it in Creating Wealth, which is my next million copy bestseller, I say, do you want to be financially free? Well, how long is it going to take you? The longest it should take you is 10 years. So, but the financial industry, they say put your money into the market, invest it automatically into a 401k, into the S&P 500 or some kind of other mutual fund you buy, and we'll see you in 30 or 40 years. Well, that's stupid. And 75% of Americans are doing that right now. And
Mhm.
they're trying to pile up a million, 2 million, 3 million. And then where they got those millions, then what are they going to do? They're going to spend it down until it's all gone. How stupid can that be? And what I said in my book, Creating Wealth, is buy 2 houses a year for 10 years. Buy them right, get cash flows from them, mortgages will be paid down, you'll be financially free in 10 years. Now, what does that mean? 10 years financially free. It means you're going to have enough money to quit your modest job, to live in a modest lifestyle, to be free of all debt and all mortgages, all credit card debt, everything else, and have your lifestyle funded for the rest of your life. Now, I'm not saying you should be rich, rich, rich. I'm not telling you you're going to be rich. I'm telling you're going to be free. And
Mhm.
in the first chunk of time, I need you to have that as a goal. And most people, I'm going to retire, at 65. What a joke. Most people, when they retire, don't have enough money to retire. They got to keep working. Why? Because they bought into this lie that if I put a little money in the market over 40 or 50 years, I'm going to be rich. And then, they have emergencies. They pull money out. They make all kinds of stupid mistakes with their retirement funds. I say, get free first, and real estate is the way to do that. Period. End of story. It is the best way for people to do that. Now, multiple streams of income means I want other ways of making money too, but real estate I think it's the workhorse of financial freedom. And if a person wants to make money faster than that, then they just buy four. Do it in 5 years instead of 10. You
Right,
know.
just accelerate the process. Use mentors.
Process or maybe going into apartment buildings or into commercial buildings. And if you go into commercial, you buy one commercial building, you make $1 million on that one building. You have 100,000 a month net cash flow. You have you're set for life with one building. But I'm telling people to do the easy way that ordinary people can do. Buy a home, buy a condo, buy something simple, and that's what I would recommend.
A lot of people get started in this business and don't make it, right? We've all heard the stories, and you mentioned early on when we started that it's really what's inside that gets people past those obstacles and those hurdles that stop people, those limiting beliefs. What do you tell people who just think that they can't do it? I'm not good enough for this. I don't deserve to be rich. How can you inspire them to take action?
I think fastest way to change your mind is to get another one of my books, which is the four maps of happy, successful people. Is your little maps you draw every day. It's very different. It's not left brain, it's very right brain. And you draw a little smiley face, and I'll show you how to do it. And it gets you to go out 5 years and decide, what do I really want? And most people, they are afraid to ask that question because they don't think they can get their dreams to make it happen. I'm saying every day you need to be able to tell your mind, this is what I want. This is when I want it. This is who I want it for. This is who's going to help me get it. This is how much of it I want. This is why I want it. And this is how I'm going to get it. And every day, by drawing this little simple map, you do what I call the clarity map. And most people are not clear because they've got all these different options. And the options are, I can make money here, I can make money there. No, I don't want to know how yet. I want to know, tell me what you really, really want. And your brain is trained. And therefore, I want you to go out there and imagine yourself having gotten it, having received it and achieved it. And experience it as if it's already happened. And therefore it becomes not a goal. I don't like the word goal. In fact, in my books, I don't call goals, I call them dones. I want to go out and imagine it being done and it's completed. And therefore, since it's in the part of my brain that has accomplished it, therefore it's more realistic. It's more, the brain goes, hey, the guys did this. But if it's a goal, it's in the part of the brain that hasn't been done. It's a part of the brain that hasn't done it yet. Therefore, it's very, the confidence is not there because you're not building it. You're assuming one of these days I'm going to get it. And therefore, there's this doubt, right? So the key is you got to make a clear vision of what you really want and imagine having done it. You do that every single day. That's what I call a clarity map. Now, the anticipation map's map number 2. That means what could go wrong and how are you going to handle it? Because something is going to go wrong. And if you just set a goal, a dream, and you don't tell me how you're going to handle when things go upside down, as they will, then you are not prepared for when they do go upside down, and then you give up. So you need an anticipation map. The third map is what's my daily ritual, and what do I do every day? And I invest time every day towards my 5-year future, because most people are wrapped up in the whirlwind of life and they never spend any time on their future. It's all today. I got to pay my bills today. No, you have to take 30 minutes a day and go out in the future and do the things that prepare you to have the courage to do it. For me, it's scriptural stuff. That's prayers and reading very sacred books. That's my preparation. That's my ritual. And then it's exercise and it's mindset thinking. It's the books I read and things like that. My brain, my being, and my body. And that's the ritual time. And all very successful people, they have their own special kind of ritual. Mine is in the morning. Other people's at different times of the day. If you don't have a ritual, you're going to get knocked out of the game. And then finally, the task map is, what do I got to do every day in order for me to get that goal? And working backwards from it. Working backwards. What do I do every day? What do I do every year? And it's a simple little map. It's not a to-do list. So it's the anti-to-do list, really. So without going too much more detail, I'm trying to say is there's a way to train the brain by drawing these simple little pictures every day that drives it in a different part of your body, your mind, your soul, so that you are more resilient, because life is very challenging and it's there's a lot of turmoil right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of disruption going on from the big guy. He's creating disruptions every single day. What is Donald saying today? And there's a lot of just confusion, and so things are getting a little dicey. How do you handle it? Well, the way you handle it is he won't be president 5 years from now. You're going to have a totally different lifestyle, and therefore I want to live that lifestyle today, right now. And regardless of what the news says, this is what I want. This is when I want it. This is who I want it for. And there's 7 questions that you ask yourself every day, and you remind yourself constantly.
It's so interesting that you have this new way of visualizing the why, because the typical approach is people go in and they do these affirmations, right? Maybe they'll stare in the mirror and they'll look at themselves, or they'll do these chants, and it's supposed to make yourself believe it. Is there any science behind the tactical, or maybe it's tactile is the word, like using your hand to draw a map? Is that help it to connect with your brain easier?
Yeah, lots of research on that. Like writing your goals down will increase the probability of you achieving it by like 50%. And then if I verbalize it to an audience and commit to it to an audience, it raises it by like another 20%. And if I have so they're like 7 little steps to it. So you can increase, most people just think of a goal, and then therefore the probability is like 5%. And then when it comes to drawing, it's called the picture superiority effect. Imagining and drawing a picture means it drives it into the part of the brain which is very visual. Your brain is very visual, and therefore if I imagine it and then actually draw it, it makes the probability of you achieving it even higher. So and it's very scientific, very scientific.
Interesting. I think it's a really cool approach. And you mentioned, right, that there's going to be obstacles, right? It's imminent. It's going to happen. Life happens, right? And you've experienced both, incredible success and some significant setbacks, right? Including bankruptcy and the loss of one of your favorite homes in the mountains. How did you handle those challenging periods, and what advice would you give to someone who's facing some difficulties today?
The same thing I just told you. You're very absorbed in your present life of challenges, but you're surrounded by walls of fear, all of us, every day. And you need to lift up above the walls, peek over the walls, and see where you really want to go. And therefore, by doing that, it lowers the walls. It makes the challenges you're facing now seem less and less. And one of my favorite quotes is, "You must make your dreams more real than your fears." Now, fears are real. You feel them. You experience them. Your heart beats. Yeah, it's scary. But your dreams, most people's dreams are not real. So they have not gone out in the future and actually lived them and experiencing walking up to the front door of your home. Walk inside your home as if it's real. Where do you want to live? What are you experiencing? What are you seeing when you walk in the front door? Where is the kitchen? Let's go in the kitchen. The chef's cooking something really special for you. Can you smell it? Chef puts a taste on your tongue. Can you taste it? You hear some music going on around the house. You hear some laughter. You hear the ocean. You hear silence. You hear the wind in the trees. You hear a golf ball whacking. I don't know, but hear something. And feel the flooring as you walk. Is it flooring? What is it? Carpet? Is it wood? Is it linoleum? That famous stuff you want to put throughout your house? What is it? In other words, you're making it real. You're virtualizing. You're not visualizing. Visual is just one of the senses. But to virtualize means virtually as if I'm in that home and I'm hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, feeling, seeing right now. And then bringing that back to me to today, where my subconscious mind goes, "Yeah, that was fun. How are we going to get that?" Well, now your subconscious mind, like when you drive off the car in the yellow Volvo, you see yellow Volvos everywhere because your brain has been virtualized. You're virtualizing your yellow Volvo, you smell it, you taste it, you touch it, you feel it, you're driving it, and now you see yellow Volvos all over the place because you've now been actualized to it. And so if a person has problems, now the way I got through my bankruptcy, because we had a mountain home that was destroyed by an avalanche, true story, but the bank, the insurance company wouldn't pay. They wouldn't pay my claim. And therefore, the bank came after me and took a lot of my other assets to pay for that loan, and it drove me into bankruptcy. And it was horrific, horrible, terrible, rotten, fantastic. Thank God it happened. So it drove me to my knees. I was a cocky bastard, really, and I was making all kinds of money and thinking it was all me. And when you get driven to your knees, you realize you are doing like 1% of it, buddy. 99% of the crops you're growing, the seed was provided for you, the soil, the seasons, the sun, all of that stuff, 99% of all the things we do in our life are provided for us by the invisible forces. I call him my Heavenly Father. But all the work these farmers do, thinking they did it all, frankly, they only do a tiny little piece of it. And I was thinking I was doing it all, making all this money, how smart am I? And then there was an avalanche. And when the money was all gone, now I'm on my knees like saying, I'm sorry. Forgive me for being so cocky, so proud, so foolish. This is where the credit goes. I'm so sorry. It was a very profound prayer I had as we had to move out of our magnificent $1 million lifestyle to rent a home and to start again from scratch at zero. The guy who wrote nothing down had nothing left. And I was the guy who went, send me to any city, take away my wallet, give me a $100 bill. Now it was, send me to any city, give me $2 million worth of debt, and let me figure my way out of it. Well, I'm not going to get out of it without involving my Heavenly Father. And therefore, some people don't have a belief in a higher power. But I do. And thank God for that avalanche.
Mm. So you turn that situation into a blessing. And I mean, who knows where you would be today if that hadn't happened to you? Do you think you're more successful now because of the tragedy than how successful you would have been if it hadn't happened?
That's a good question. I don't want to go there.
Mm.
It happened. I learned from it. And that's what life is like this, the anticipation. What could go wrong? The whirlwind of life could steal it from me. I got a learning curve I got to go through. What if I don't make it through the learning curve in order for me to get better in my life? What about all the little distractions, the shiny objects I could go off and distract myself with? The world is total distraction.
Mm-hmm.
What about the cliffs I got to climb, the fears I got to get over in my life? What about the sudden storms of life? And my sudden storm was an avalanche, and it wiped me out. So when it happens, I didn't have any basis I had to just fight my way through it. And the way I did it was one step at a time. I wake up in the morning, one step a day. Can I just take one step? If I could just do one step. But I don't want to go backwards. No, and I'm not going to go forward like I was going before, like 90 miles an hour. I'm just going to go one step at a time. I'm just going to get through today. If I can get through today, I think I can make tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so that's what it took for me to get through that and a lot of other different challenges in my life. Life is designed to do that. Life is a disaster a day. And sometimes those disasters involve you. And sometimes you're reading about them in the newspaper and watching about them on TV and you go, oh, those poor people in Thailand. Oh my gosh, isn't that terrible? Until you're one of those people in Thailand.
Right.
So, how am I going to get through this? Well, I am. You know why? Because 5 years from now, this is where I'm going to be. And I know I am. It's already done. Oh, so I had to take a side detour. Maybe it knocked me off the course for a year. But you can't knock me off my long-term goal, my long-term done. You can't knock me off of that. It's done. When I give my word that I'm going to do something, this is my word. I gave it to myself. I said that would be done. Done. Not a goal. I don't do goals. I do dones. So when I do something on my calendar, when it's done, I write done on it. Because I want my brain to go, you're a done guy. You just get things done. You don't just dream things. You make them happen. Right? Like my book, #1 bestseller. I wanted to be a bestseller on my birthday. Unfortunately, I had agreed to a commitment to go speak in Vietnam 2 weeks ago. So I had to bring my whole team together, and thanks for all the help you did with me as well, Vincent. But we made it #1. It was #1, and I want to make sure I made the title, that's the title, because I want to make sure that's
smart.
not
That's so smart.
And how you become a best-selling author in 30 minutes a day. If you just take 30 minutes a day, you can do anything. You can get a six-pack abs. You can get a relationship of your life, and you can become a best-selling author. And so, of all the books I've written, I'm always writing about the things that I'm doing. And I've been a multiple New York Times bestseller because I do whatever is necessary to make it done.
So let's talk about the book. So you transitioned from being a real estate investor, right, and your passion from real estate into teaching and writing, and ultimately generating over $1 billion through information marketing, right?
Right.
And now you've written this book to teach others how to take what they know and turn it into a book. Like, average person, right? I don't know anything. How am I going to write a book, right? What do I have to offer somebody where they're going to go buy my book and read it? And this is what people are thinking. Like, what is in that book that's going to inspire people to really think that they have what it takes to go and do it?
First chapter is your message. There's a checklist of 200 items, 200 skills that people in life have. You're going to go through that list and you say, do I know how to do this? Do I know how to do that? And you're going to come up with 10, at least 10 things you know how to do. And unfortunately, you don't think anybody wants to know it. But there are 8 billion people on the planet, and they want to know what you know how to do right now. And you didn't think it was all that valuable because who wants to know that? I never thought, who wants to know how to buy real estate with little or no money down? I'm thinking, well, I guess I'll write a book about it, not assuming that it would be the iconic book that would revolutionize the creative real estate industry. Well, you just got to find out the stuff you're really good at, and that's this checklist. And then you take that list and you run it through what I call low-hanging fruit exercise. You ask yourself, really, I came to this planet to learn things, to learn how to love, to learn how to learn, to learn how to magnify the gifts and the talents I brought to this planet. I believe we came from another place in the universe, and we came here on this earth specifically to learn lessons that could not be learned as quickly as people learn them here on this planet, because eternity is a long time. Give 100 years and give lots of challenges and disasters and opportunities, and you learn a lot. And you're going to discover your talents. What did you come with? You have things you're just naturally good at and things you're naturally bad at. But the things you're good at are your piece of cake. It's like, piece of cake, I can do that, big deal. Why is that so hard for you? And you look at all these people who can't do it because that's not their piece of cake. So you figure out what your piece of cake is, that's your talent. And you figure, what do I love to do, man? I read that stuff all night long. I watch videos, I go to seminars. I can't get enough because you're so passionate about it. That's a gift. Passion is a gift. You brought it with you. Can you finally discover, I'll go into a bookstore, I'm always going into the same section of the bookstore, right? I'm flipping through the channels to watch stuff, I'm always watching the same kind of stuff, right? Because it's stuff that you're naturally drawn to. And then your values are the things that are really important to you. And how you know if it's really important to you? You do it. And if you don't do it, it's not important.
Hmm.
If you say to me, you believe in God and you don't do anything about it, you don't believe in God. If you say to you want to be rich and you don't do anything about it, today, you really don't want it. It's really not that important to you. The things that are important to you are going to take place on your to-do list. And the things that you say are important to you that you don't do, and therefore you finally get to discover, this is what's important to me. And I will not stop until I get this, or I will never do those things because they're not important to me. And therefore the low-hanging fruit is of those things you went through your piece of cake exercise. You come up with a handful, two or three, and you say, if I could only write one of those before my life is done, what is in my bucket list? What do I got to write about? So the things I learned in my life, the talents I had, the passions I had, my values I had, do they go in a book somewhere? Can I create a system out of it? And so the number one best-selling book is The 12 Steps for you to do exactly that, to get your book out of you and to not only make the money from the royalties, because the royalties are almost nothing, is having an extra stream of income, multiple streams of income from one book. But one book turns into, well, you know what it turns into? It turns into $100 a word.
Hmm.
Now you say, how do I make $100 a word? You won't have any writer's block. If you make $100 a word, you want to write those words down. And so this book has got 30,000 words in it. Well, what's $100 a word on that? Well, that's 30,000 times 10 is 300,000 times 10 is $3 million in this book. Oh, there's a whole lot more than $3 million are going to come out of this book.
Hmm.
And in your book, I'm saying at the very least it's $100 a word, because in chapters 9, 10, 11, I tell you exactly how to get those $100. And that means you got to do more things, because a book is not a book. A book is a business. And and so most people, they talk about how to write a book. I don't do that. I want to have a number one best-selling book. Not one day on Amazon. I wanted a lifetime of streams of income. Because I wrote a book in 1980, nothing down, 1982, Creating Wealth. Do you know I still get royalties on those books from my publisher on a book that I've forgotten about for 40 years. I worked hard for a year, and now the streams of income have been flowing for the rest, and they'll flow for long after I'm here on this planet. Those are the kind of streams of income I want to teach you how to get.
Hmm. Yeah, the why is interesting to me, because the why people are typically thinking is, okay, they're going to make money off of it. But what are some other reasons to make a book? And how can, you know, what comes out of it on the back end besides just some money?
Well, if you have any kind of business whatsoever, having a book is going to double your business. So that's money oriented. But legacy,
Mm-hmm.
frankly, I just wrote hard on this book and had a deadline and got it done. But now it's out there in the world, and thousands of people have put it in their libraries and pass it to their children. And so it's the thing that changed my life, my personal life, was I wrote my first book, and I didn't have a clue of what was going to happen. And people started coming up to my seminars and they say, Robert, your book changed my life. And then they give me these incredible stories. And I'm going, I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know that I would change not only their life, but the lives of the people around them, their little circle of influence. And then that circle of influence would go out for generation after generation after generation. And people, grandchildren of people are coming up to me now and they're saying, because my father read your book, he made a lot of money, and then now I'm the third generation from when you wrote your book. Thank you so much for writing a book. And I had no clue that was going to happen. And it's extremely, it gives me goosebumps. It's extremely humbling. It's empowering, but it's your gift. The gift you give back to the world. Yeah, there's some money in it. Yeah, big deal. Money comes, money goes, but legacy is permanent, and you're going to have a legacy. You're either going to have a legacy you're not very happy about, or you're going to have a legacy that you're very proud about. But you will have a legacy. And so I want to ask you, because there's going to come a time in your life when you're going to look back and you're going to go, did I leave something from being here on the planet? And if you didn't, don't let your message die on your hard drive. You know, get it off your hard drive and get it into the world, and leave a legacy of stories of people coming up to me all over the place. I'm in Italy. I'm checking into a 5-star hotel, and this guy is checking in right next to me, and he's, oh, what you doing here, and who are you, what, yada yada. And I say, my name is Bob Allen. He said, are you Robert Allen, like the Robert Allen? And I go, well, I'm here because of you. I'm here because I'm afford to bring my wife to this hotel because 20 years ago. Well, I get stories like that all the time. And it's very, very empowering. And I want the people who are watching this or listening to this, I want you to have that experience. And it will change your life. And you realize, wow, the ripples of my life can go on for 100 years, for 200 years. Make your ripples ripple. And the only way you get to do that is to put them down. Put the words down, get them down, get it done, right?
Oh yeah. It's so crazy to me. My father's aging right now. And I think about all the stories he's told me over the years that I'm already forgetting unless he
Yeah,
mentions it.
yeah.
And then
So was he.
it reminds me, oh, that story. And like, I need to get these someplace, right? Like there's video but reading is different, right? Like you absorb it differently than watching it. And I think it's a way of codifying your legacy and your story into generations of people. I mean, there may be people 1,000 years from now that are still reading #1 bestseller and
Yeah,
talking about you, whereas
yeah.
everybody else would have been forgotten. And they're only going to be, their existence is only as long as the people talk about them, right? And their children, their children's children. But a book will live forever.
And an audio book too. There's a lot of people are doing audio instead of reading pages. They're more visual. They're more auditory. So you shoot videos of your book, and you shoot little classes. You record it. You can record a Zoom call like this here. You can leave your message in lots of different ways. It doesn't have to be just writing.
Wow.
Well, Benson, I got to run. I wish you well. I wish all your people get all of your softwares to the best of the best. It's incredible, and I'm as soon as you asked me to be part of this, I know exactly who you were. We've met many times, and I really appreciate your friendship, and I wish you the best of the best. And all the rest of you have a wonderful day, everybody. God bless. See ya.
You too, Robert. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll put the links for your book in the show notes so people can go find that and all these other amazing books that you've written. So thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.